to a show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. And this week for the podcast, got a couple guests that dropped in to save the day. We're about to watch UFC 295, but before doing so, I was going to sit down with my former neighbors here. These cats just left the neighborhood on me, left me alone.
Yeah, boy.
Fucking feels weird out here without them, but hey, whatever. So, I want to bring back Dana, who was on a previous episode. We talked about kettlebells, kettlebell fitness, competitions, and things like that. And he's coming back to tell me more. And along with Dana, we're going to be bringing on Mike, neighbor Mike.
It is neighbor Mike.
Neighbor Mike.
Mikey Tupood, a.k.a. neighbor Mike.
So what's going on, fellas? How are things? And, you know, it's been a minute, especially with you ain't been here for a fight in a minute.
Dude, it's been...
Been missing cards, dog.
I know, man. So just reminiscing, though. You know, what did we call it? It was the neighborhood dad's night.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
One Saturday a month. Just come on over here and watch the fights.
I just thought on the way over, this is like the third straight like MSG card we've watched down here.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I've missed them, huh?
If there's any card,
3 years.
Oh, no.
No. For MSG,
Yeah.
like, you usually like this is one. At least I know we're all like, look, we got to make this card no
We
matter
usually
what.
get this one, yep.
And sometimes shit happens.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, people tear their pec away from their fucking bone, and now they're out for 8 months. But hey,
He's going to be fun to watch.
we'll see. I mean, he's always fun to watch, but it's like, hey man, you ain't no spring chicken no more. So
We'll see.
This isn't the interim belt. This is the true heavyweight belt tonight.
well, and the thing is, people talk about Yuri and Jamal both dropped the belt when they got hurt. Mm-hmm. It's like, why isn't John dropping the belt?
Because it's John.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like he can't come back and he'll get right back into the mix anyway. So it's fucking dumb. Anyhow,
He's going to get the title shot when he comes back.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat. There's no question.
that's yeah. I mean, off name alone.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so I guess I want to kind of catch up with you about the All American Kettlebell Open that you hosted. That was your thing.
Yeah, we did it.
Run by Raised Bells.
Yeah.
And just tell me, because I think you had mentioned it before as well, but I was just like kind of like
Right.
words.
Right.
Well,
I know those words.
I was still living here when we got the okay to go. But I bought the house in the process of planning that. Yeah, so it was cool. So yeah, like I want to say it was like February or March. I just got the wild idea to message the Mr. America Instagram page and just ask them if they would be willing to put kettlebell sport in their events. And almost immediately I got a response.
Nice.
And it was, absolutely, are you willing to run it? And of course, like I'm sitting here on my phone. I was at work at the time. I was actually working some overtime. And I'm looking at my phone on a break and I'm like, holy shit. Like, is this real? And then, so of course I replied, yes, of course. And within minutes, he responded. It was very fast. Okay, here's my contact information, or give me your contact information and I'll call you later. So I'm like, okay, still sounds too good to be true, but I gave my number, right? Well, I had to go back to work. A couple hours later, I come out and I had a missed call. And the message, give him a call back, Mark Torriello. Called him back, and we talked for like 30 or 45 minutes about the vision, about the event, about how I saw it. And yeah, he jumped on board and he was excited, right? Well, when I got the yes, I'm like, I got really, really nervous. I'm like, holy shit, I've never done this before. You know, I've never put on an event like this, right? So I reached out to my coach, who is out on the West Coast. His name's Steve Cotter. And I asked him for advice, you know, on what to do. And from there, it just snowballed into this massive, you know, these guys said it was the biggest in-person kettlebell sport competition since COVID.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it turned out to be a really awesome event. Good. And we planned it like 6 months, and you know, we got sponsors. I've reached out to everyone. Sponsors, you know, helped us. This one company, Pro Kettlebell, ran by Nikolai and Amber, his wife. They manufacture bells here in America, and they came on board. Once they came on board, the publicity, the energy just went through the roof. Like talking to that guy Nikolai and getting to know him, and you know, start getting this plethora of knowledge. You know, because the guy has been in this industry for more than a decade. You know, he used to run his own kettlebell club out in Seattle. Actually, Seattle Kettlebell Club. You know, so and then developed these bells and then started making them here in America. Well, he sponsored the event. He also came on as an organizer, him and his wife. They organized my event, you know, our event. It was no longer my event. You know, Raised Bells presented it, but Pro Kettlebell, like, they came on board. Every idea was pretty much theirs. You know, Nikolai was just right there with the wisdom, with the things to do. Amber took care of all the organizational aspects of it. Yeah, it just turned out to be an awesome event.
Good.
Yeah, it went really well. We lifted over 2 days, had just about 50 lifters. Mm-hmm. We had 3 platforms going, and, you know, ranging from beginners to world champions, you know, along with the coach, Steve Cotter. Also flew out Dennis Vasilev, 11-time kettlebell sport world champion. He lifted, and yeah, it went great. You know, definitely a big buzz in the community, and along with the other, you know, sports that were there at the expo. You know, I mean, we had the best setup, you know, and it went great. They loved us, and you know, we've already kind of set up to, or you know, in plans to go back and do it again next year.
Well, it's official.
It went real well.
It's official.
Nice.
Mark Torriello has actually reached out and gave the official invite for 2024. So that's being dropped right here.
All right,
I mean,
breaking news.
real. I mean, that's breaking right there. And I mean, nobody knows that but us. So we haven't started promoting that yet. You know, obviously it's a year out. It's in October. So.
Oh yeah. So for this event, like, because I'm completely foreign to it, what exactly takes place at the event?
So basically, kettlebell sport is a few different exercises that you choose to do for a certain amount of time. So it's not necessarily reps or anything like that. It is, but it's more or less what weight are you going to use and how long are you going to go for? 5 or 10 minutes, right? And there's also marathon lifts, half marathons, so you get 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and you know, I believe there's ultra marathons out there, which is absolutely lunacy. You will not see me holding a bell that long.
I mean, when you said 60 minutes, I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, but
but people do it and they excel at it, man.
Yeah, it's mainly broken down. So, you know, a 5-minute lift, 10-minute lift is like the traditional kind of time for it. And then, you know, like you said, the half marathon, the 30 minutes, or the full marathon, 60 minutes. We didn't have any full marathoners. We had, what was it, 2 slots on Saturday that were half marathon, like one at the beginning of the day, one at the end of the day, and then
total we had like 3 or 4 half marathons.
And then I think one Sunday morning, we had one guy who did 2 half marathons on Saturday. So he was like the first block, and then he was also the last block. So we tried to give him as much rest as possible. Yeah, in between. It was
check out Jacob Henson, Facebook and Instagram. I mean, that dude is he's a maniac.
It's intense to watch somebody lift a kettlebell for 30 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Well, I watched him just out front, just like, not even 30 minutes. I'm like,
hey,
all right, man. Like,
from things have drastically changed from the times you have seen me working out in the parking lot. Really, once I became more involved into the kettlebell sports side, I kind of my training has kind of really enveloped that style of training, right? Because we started actually doing the competition. So we competed at our own competition. We attended a couple local, one local prior to ours, and then we did ours, and then after we did an online comp. So trying to get active in the community and things like that. So, but back to the sport, right?
Yeah.
Your three main lifts are for males, double long cycle, which is 2 kettlebells, clean and jerk, repeatedly for 10 minutes. Now within that, you have your beginners, your semi-amateurs, amateurs, semi-pro, and pro, right? And that's your bell sizes, pretty much breaks that down. And then you have your overall weight classes within those. So sport ranking tables. We used the IKO, World Kettlebell Sport League. That's 11-time world champion Dennis Vasila. He sanctioned our event. And then from there, the IKMF, they reached out to us and put their rankings in our event. The AKLU reached out and they supported the event, which is the American Kettlebell Lifters Union. They're responsible for sending the USA team to the WKSF World Championships each year, which is probably the absolute, bar none, nobody beats out this event. The USA team alone, I think, is like 30-some lifters.
Where's that held at?
So they usually change up the locations, but last year I think it was in Hungary, and I think this year it's in Poland.
Okay.
In 2024. In fact, I think the IKMF Big World Championships are coming up this month, I think on the 24th or something like that. But their events are, usually pretty large as well. So other than long cycle, sorry, I went on a rant. You get your other exercise, which is jerk, double jerk, and then snatch. So you have an option of doing triathlon, all three, or you can do biathlon, which is jerk and snatch, or you can do them singularly,
Yeah, and then the snatch is the only one that's a single bell. So
Yep.
Jerk is doubles, long cycles doubles, and snatch singles. And triathlon's not as popular, but Dana did a biathlon, which is a popular lift. You get 2 lifts there, and then the jerk with the snatch, that's the biathlon. So you get to kind of work different muscles, whereas the jerk is more of a push, snatch is more of a pull. You're not like overtaxing anything.
Right.
Makes sense.
The two exercises go very well together.
Mm-hmm.
And then long cycle by itself is just a phenomenal exercise for overall strength and power, and and doing it for endurance is, that's what this guy does. And
Long cycle's fun.
yeah,
Well,
you're getting all of it.
You got to kind of figure. Like most workouts, are, good for you as long as you're doing, everything the correct way.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no such thing as like, doing something like this to boost your cardio, boost your power, stuff like that. There's no such thing as like, you're just wasting your time. No,
Right.
It's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
It serves a purpose. Good.
On that point, it's the beauty of kettlebell sport, particularly again working for the time instead of just trying to get some reps or hitting like strength PRs, things like that. You get that strength endurance combo. And, personally, when Dana found out about, the competition, I was actually at the time still kind of practicing a hard style kettlebell training. Hadn't jumped over to the sports style yet. There's kind of different techniques in how you lift. He'd been trying to get me over. I was like, all right, well, looks like this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, since then, just the crossover from that type of training to the other athletic endeavors I take on, it's just been amazing. So it's really that strength endurance. It's hard to get that from other things kind of as easy as is with just, hey, pick up these bells and swing them for 10 minutes.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean the sports style, you have to adopt this methodology of being as efficient as possible for as long as possible. Keeping the heart rate low, using the breath. Right, the breath is such a key component, and these lifts, it makes which makes them very technical lifts, right? Because you almost have to synchronize your breath with the movement, and it's not almost, you have to, really to work for a long period of time. Getting that breath synced in is key.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
we had an injury prevention seminar today at the gym, and they're talking about, like, as we're doing any kind of movement, stretching, recovery, how important to breathing, like breath control, and synchronizing that with, just breathing correctly,
right?
Because most people don't breathe right. It's like when we talk about like taking in a deep breath, like most people like try to like puff up their chest and like,
prior to me doing kettlebells, I've lifted and I've done some sort of training my whole life, right? Yeah. But it wasn't until I took Steve Cotter's level 1 certification. Almost the very first thing he said, when he starts talking about the breath is we focus on the exhale. I had never been taught that. Mm-hmm. I had never, ever been, was never brought to my attention that we focus on the exhale because your body is automatically going to inhale. So you control the exhale, right? And that's how you control the breath. And then, so once I started doing that, I mean, it takes time, right? But over time, it starts to click. And then all of a sudden, it's even with my running, doing, running a couple miles at a time, it's like focus on the exhale. Every third strike of the left foot, I'm pushing out an exhale, a forceful exhale, because your body's going to inhale on its own. And just once I realized that and started really seeing it being put into action, you know what I mean? That's a game changer. Big time.
I think breathing in general, just, when I was playing football, that was one thing they kind of talk about, how football is different from playing basketball. Mm-hmm. It's in, 5 seconds on, like 30 seconds off. So you're breathing, like kind of controlling that and building your cardio differently for that versus you get out there on the soccer field or the basketball field. Like you're constantly moving. You might have some moments where you kind of break it up, but there still has to be kind of a control and understanding of your breathing out there, which, I mean, high school, most of us aren't, especially in the 90s. We're not getting that. We're just like, I'm just out here to play. Now here we are in 2023, over the last, 10, 15 years, there's been so much information provided about how to treat your body, how to, breathe, how to, do anything. I mean, in jiu-jitsu, that's a big deal there because we get folded up like origamis. Yeah. And if you're not built to breathe right, if you're not doing it right to begin with, you're going to be tapping the pressure. You're going to be tapping to just inverts. Mm-hmm. If you get spun upside down, you're like, nah, I got to get out of here. Versus like, I got guys that, you get them in an invert position, they're just hanging out. Right. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Mm-hmm. Like, you should be hurting. I was hurting.
Right.
So yeah, the breath control is, I think one of the most important things that people don't really even pay attention to, unless it's put in front of them. They're told like, hey, watch this. Some people like kind of roll into it accidentally and at least have some understanding, but not like a full okay, do it this way.
Like I had a aha moment.
Yeah,
it was one of them. It was so weird.
Yeah. So with the event, like the one that just passed for you all, getting everything set up, like getting in touch with everyone and getting that all set up. Like, what was like the time frame and like how long did it all take to really like come to a point where you're like, okay,
how long? Ready. So how long it took for it to come to realization that I was like, okay, this is actually going to happen. And then it's actually going to be pretty fucking cool. So when I reached out to Steve Cotter, his response was he would love to help. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't want to make $1. He just wanted there to be, just to be there as support for his student, I guess, and for the sport mainly. But the biggest thing was he put me in contact with 11-time world champion Denis Vasilev. So within a couple of days, he said, give him some time. And within a couple of days, I was in a group chat with him and Denis Vasilev on Instagram, which is the wildest, most surreal thing in the world to me. I knew of Denis Vasilev, but of course I was never ever gonna think of reaching out because I just, in my mind, he's way up here. Turns out the dude's super humble, man.
Dude, super chill. He's awesome.
He is the most down to earth guy. We were eating dinner one night and we were having like a barbecue. And he gets up out of his seat, goes to the end of the table, and he goes, guys, selfie. And he fucking takes a selfie. The coolest thing ever, right? So anyway, though, I got put in the group chat with them. And we started, that's where I officially got the sanction from him, which was awesome because, I had told Mark in the very beginning, he asked me if it was going to be sanctioned. And I said, honestly, I'm just a regular guy and I'm just being honest with you. I just asked you if I could, if you would do it, and this is happening. So I don't think so. And then it turned out it did. It got sanctioned, and of course I let Mark know, and he was super excited. All right, so that happened. That conversation started rolling with those guys. And on the other side of things, though, on the Raise Bell side, me getting established for live training and things like that, I was working with Gold's Gym and renting space out of the gym. Mm-hmm. Well, it turns out as I was getting set up in there and talking to Mr. America on the side, that the owner of Gold's Gym owns Mr. America. So it's a super small world. And when he found that out, kind of set up a meeting, and he set up a meeting with me, and pretty much I laid it all out. I laid out the vision for the gym. I laid out the vision for the competition, and pretty much he loved it. He loved the energy that we put off. He loved it all, and he said, let's fucking go, in so many words. So one of his things, though, was finding a made in America product. And then he would, in turn, allow Golds to help sponsor the event. So I reached out. I was in the group chat with Dennis and Steve, and I told them what I had going on because he gave me a list of things that I would need for the competition. And one of the things was all the kettlebells. So 4 sets of kettlebells, complete sets from 8 kilogram up to 32 kilogram, with just a 20% discount, is like $18,000. Jesus. Yeah. So we needed that to do this competition. How in the F was we going to do that?
Yeah.
Right? So my only way was, networking with people and trying to find people that would sponsor the event and help pay for the materials that we needed, right? Sure. The equipment that we needed. Once, Golds said, find Made in America product. I told Dennis and Steve I was looking for a Made in America product, kettlebells. He gave me Nikolai and Amber's contact information from Pro Kettlebell. And when I reached out to him, through message on Instagram, and I was on my way to the gym for training. And I live 5 minutes from the gym. I messaged probably when I got in the car. By the time I got to the gym, he was calling me through Instagram. And before I could make it into the training session, I was actually late too, and all the guys had to like stand around for me. But after a short conversation, he was super ecstatic and just on board to just help and just do things, right? So it turns out his bells are made in America. Not only are they made in America, but they are very nice bells, comfortable bells. And when they came on board and they didn't supply the bells because I had to buy them, but with the help of Golds through sponsorship, we made it happen. And you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean,
ahead,
the Pro Kettlebell side, I mean, just amazing that Nikolai was on board from the beginning. Gave Dana a very nice discount to buy the sets, much more than any other kettlebell manufacturer out there. And really on that,
I mean, look, it was his sponsorship to the event, and talk about the giveaway.
Oh yeah, and so even though it's individual lifters lifting on the platform, but you can be like on a team, right? So we had our district kettlebell team, and there were other teams there. So the big giveaway was whatever team kind of finished up with like the best score, and you kind of base score off of like volume, which is just like reps over time, and just kind of add that up. And so the winning team would get a full set to take back home, or I guess he was gonna manufacture them and send it to him. So that was awesome as well. So not only helped us get the 4 sets that we needed to host the competition, but also sending a full set to the winning team. But just on those Pro Kettlebell, the bells themselves, check out the website. They call them the Ferrari kettlebells, and they call them that for a reason. It's a bit of a revolutionary design in kettlebells, where it's you think it's just like a ball with like a handle on it, right? But for new lifters, it's a small sport, kind of niche, and then just training as well. Not many people know how to properly use them. When you get that thing overhead, it's like a big round heavy ball with a handle on it. It's like pressing against like the back of your arm. So the Pro Kettlebells, they're actually
contoured.
They're contoured. They're like concave on those sides,
like a flat surface on your forearm.
Yeah, and then
it's such a nice fit.
And then there's like a nub in the middle, so it's almost like a teaching cue. Whereas if you hold the kettlebell wrong, because there's a proper way to hold it, like overhead, then that nub's gonna be pressing. You're like, oh, I want to make sure I'm not holding it like that next time I get it overhead. So it's gonna force you to hold it properly.
Automatically does it.
Exactly. Yeah, and then the other thing, they're hollow on the bottom. So what that does is, however heavy the bell is, all that weight inside is shoved up as close to the top as possible, as close to the handle, which actually gets that center of gravity more towards your hand, which just makes them fly so much smoother. I mean, how many people people that were the lifters that have been in kettlebell sport, when they picked up the Pro Kettlebell, were they like, wow, look at this? It was amazing.
That's what I was wondering, is like, the competitors, were they familiar with this style of bell, or
we did have a few that came that had not used them before. So I remember distinctively approaching Amber at the competition and saying, how does it feel like seeing all these faces just fall in love with your bells, who have never touched them before until today, when they touch them, and I was like, it must make, and she was ecstatic with energy,
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was awesome to watch, man. Just at that point, they could have sold ice to penguins, dude.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
And then just like compared to other bells, I mean, most people think like it's just metal, right? But I mean, I've seen videos where like you cut open like another competition style bell, and it's like full of dirt and screws and nails and like debris and stuff. Like it's just like junk inside of that casing, and like the
so
handles
it can make the weight, right?
Yes, and then like the handle's hollow, and it's like, what is going on here? So like, who knows where that weight is exactly in there? So these just it's like knowing the foundry. I mean, Nikolai literally like sands these down and like hand paints them himself. Like
very much handcrafted.
Yeah, I mean, we had to wait quite a while to get the 4 sets because I mean, he's like, all right, cool. Like I literally have to produce these myself, and I mean, just the story of their story of going through different foundries and making the molds, and they had a foundry, but then like the main person there left, so then like quality went down, so they had to find a different one. I mean, just the hurdles that they had to go through to be able to produce these things. But I mean, it's all worth it because of how kind of revolutionary for the sport and just kettlebell training that they are.
Yeah, I mean, and people who know kettlebells, right? The best form of progression is through 2 kilogram increments, right? So if you were to go to Kettlebell Kings or another kettlebell site,
Bells
right?
of Steel,
anyone really, but it goes, you would have to get 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, but the beauty behind the Pro Kettlebell is you can do those 4 kilogram increments with the bells because they make a 2 kilogram chip and 1 kilogram chip, right? That fit perfectly into that hollowness of the bell. Magnetics right up in there. So you can literally cut down the half the cost of what you need in bells for these chips, and you still get beyond what you need for 2 kilogram progressions.
So, thanks.
Makes it really nice for scaling and progressions.
Yeah, so like as far as like kettlebell sport, the full set from the 8 to the 32. So women's division can use down to the 8s and the 12s. And then men start at 16s, and it goes 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. So, in sport lifting, there's no need for those in between weights. But again, working up to a certain weight, you want to be able to kind of take those 2 kilogram increments. And again, having those magnetic chips, you pop a 2 kilogram chip in a 12 kilogram bell, makes it a 14 kilogram bell. And then when you progress up, boom, you already got your 16, and then you go to the 18. So yeah, you don't need to buy literally half of the bells that you might need to if you didn't have something like that. And again, you just need 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, and with the style of training that we've kind of taken on, you can do some ladders, easy transitions into, you take a 16 and you can turn it into an 18. So you can do a set at 16 and a set at 18, and then, things like that. It just makes it so much easier for, transitioning between, the weights. It's pretty cool.
It's interesting to hear this because just hearing a sport, like kind of, again, I'm very foreign to everything other than seeing you working out in the neighborhood. Right. And then the algorithm on Instagram got a little funky, and like for a while I was getting a lot of kettlebell stuff.
Yeah.
Then it just stopped. It was I might see a post from you maybe once a month. Really? Maybe. It was like, it got to a point where it's like, okay, I gotta go seek the post out. I have to go type in names. It's just
maybe just go and like a couple things.
Well, and that's what happens though. It's like even with liking a couple things, it's my feed is mostly jiu-jitsu, twerk videos, and like car accidents. Right. So it's like I can 40 kettlebell videos and like, yeah, but
or
like you like seeing people get choked.
Just start talking kettlebells, man. Just start talking that shit. Your phone will hear it.
Yeah, it does.
That is true.
Watch. I mean, you're probably going to start getting pro kettlebell commercials on your shit.
Yeah,
the other day, I didn't even say anything. I was thinking about something. Shit pops up on my phone. I was like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Stop.
Yeah, it's wild, man.
And then I had to think. I was like, was I talking about? No, I'm in the car by myself. I wasn't talking about this shit.
Could hear anything, man.
Fucking things are weird, but it's neat to see this kind of, early on growth of this, niche, sport,
for sure.
because, when you think about anything, I mean, when I go to it, it's always going to go jiu-jitsu just because that's what I'm familiar with. It's
right.
Like seeing jiu-jitsu kind of coming up.
But even with kettlebells and jiu-jitsu, the way you can adapt kettlebells to enhance your training for jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. And the number one guy you could probably go to is Steve Cotter. He has on BJJ Fanatics, he has a video presentation for sale, and they're always on sale. I mean, 25, 50% off, 70% off.
Last night, and everything was like,
dude, so 20
Steve, to 30% off.
For real, go check out Steve Cotter, Kettlebells for Jiu-Jitsu. And like the way he makes it translate for those individuals is phenomenal. We're actually bringing on a coach with Raised Bells. He's his name's Rudy Aguilera Hughes. He's I want to say he's a purple belt, but he's been training for at least a decade, I think, on and off, probably more. Okay. But he's coming on as a coach with the kettlebells, and he's going to have that jiu-jitsu background, and he's going to be the coach that we're going to present to,
just seeing this, from the beginning or from early stages at least is really cool because, you never know. Like, you see it one day, it's like, okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. You start to kind of build like an understanding. And then next thing you know, a year later, you start seeing it more and more pop up. Because, I mean, ESPN fucking puts cornhole on. So, right. I mean, it's like, but then there are things like this. Yeah. It's like, so, I mean, this would be beneficial to people.
Yeah, I mean, right now, like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. If you're looking for a competition to watch, they're all over there, you know. We're actually looking into a way to get 2024 broadcasted on the TV. I think it has been done before.
Really?
I believe it has. But it would be nice to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis ran it through his YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Did Pro Kettlebell have it through their YouTube at the time?
What, ours? What do you mean?
Pro Kettlebell didn't have it on
their YouTube. No.
Just Dennis.
We just put it on Dennis's.
Yeah,
and then the rest of us just kind of did lives, a little sporadic throughout. But yeah, Dennis's was kind of set up a little high, so just observe all day of the platforms. Mm-hmm. But it was uninteractive, Yeah. It didn't like move around and whatnot. So but this year, I'm looking into live broadcast. We're looking into getting. Matter of fact, boom, we were looking to get like a podcast to come out and do live, right? And then like commentate the event, interview lifters, interview just people around, just making it a little more interactive and trying to get it broadcast this year.
Yeah, I mean, implement that in, YouTube as well. Just that, I mean, I think all that stuff is really cool because most people are watching YouTube for their entertainment period anyway. Yeah. So, it's just kind of an open forum for everyone. And you never know what you're going to run into or when you're going to run into something that, you might seem like, oh, I know a little bit about this.
Right.
And then you get hooked into something like, oh my God, this is very interesting. You're hearing the stories from, the competitors, you're talking to the coaches and getting an understanding. So yeah, I think that, will go a long way in really growing the sport too. Mm-hmm. So good. But for your first event that you all did, is there like video or like clips of some of the event?
Yeah, I mean you can find it on the Raise Bells Instagram. On YouTube, it would be World Kettlebell Sport League. Now I think there was a mix up with the first day of recording though, because they got us on copyright because of the music in the background.
Of course.
So I think we lost day one altogether. So that was like my number one key component of wanting to fix this year of a different kind of broadcasting, because one, if you're professionally doing it like this, we can drown out the outside noise. There's definitely ways around it. So this year is going to be, as far as like, if you're not attending and you want to watch, it'll be better this year.
Yeah, I think doing that first run, you get an ideal, you get that feel.
Yeah,
you have a year now to think about what you want to do to build it up even more and improve.
Right, but the thing is, right, coming into the competition, I started watching competitions, right, and then now that I've done the competition and I'm still watching competitions, the one thing that I can think of that I would change is the fact that let's make it a little more interactive instead of just a camera on some platforms.
Yeah. And
that's what you're seeing. Like, it can be so much better for the home viewer, right?
Yeah.
You gotta put yourself in their position. Like, most of these competitions, you're literally just looking at the platform, and then a guy with a mic comes in every once in a while to announce something, right? It could be done like this and still have audio and video and just make it professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a better viewing experience.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, even thinking about, like you says, like right now it's just a camera up,
right,
looking down the platform. It's like if I'm scrolling through and I see that.
I mean, it's cool for like when you're
right.
when you're watching the lift, right?
Sure.
But like in between the lifts and things like that, you want maybe change a camera view, or even during the lifts, change the camera view for the, for the interview that that's taking place or whatnot, on the commentators, on whatnot.
Yeah, that's been a big thing in my mind recently, is like making things available for the casual as well, like someone that's not in the actual sport, right, but might have some interest. Because I was talking with a friend last week on not Instagram, on the podcast,
right,
about his YouTube and what sets his YouTube apart from other jiu-jitsu news YouTubes. And one of the things is like you're kind of I want to say dumbing it down, but you're definitely making it available for the people within the community, right, but you also want to make it available for trying to draw in new people as well. Like if I'm scrolling through YouTube and I see the kettlebell camera down on the platform, I'm looking at it, I was like, sure, that's interesting. If I'm just trying to look and see, okay, what's going on here, but right, to really draw me in, there's got to be some talk to, right, stuff going on, some personality to it.
Just some commentating, man.
Like, and a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like a webcam on a pole.
Which is,
like
it was awesome
straight
video, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it literally captured every single lift. Sadly, we lost the whole day, but it's nice. But a camera view change, that's all.
Well, even when I think about the jiu-jitsu competitions like ADCC, IBJJF, these run on flow grappling, in some cases, well, hell, even last week, what was it? Wrestling event on ESPN last week, and it was just literally a camera facing the mat, no commentator. Right. And as a matter of fact, the camera's here on the edge of this table, and the mat was probably beyond the wall. It was far away. I'm just like, and Sophie even sat down here with me. She was like, "What are you watching?" I was like, well, I'm trying to watch wrestling.
I'm not quite sure.
Right, they're so far away, and I got my glasses on, I can't see it. But making things available and interactive, not just for the people within the community, but also to pull in new people as well, I think goes a long way. And that's recently just been something on my mind, thinking about talking with a friend last week, thinking about jiu-jitsu in itself, talking about, the podcast, like how do you get other people to flock towards something new? Because yes, we all know, kettlebells, we see kettlebells in the store when we walk around Target, but
Don't buy those kettlebells.
Don't buy them.
No, I had one. I gave it to my my old manager. She was like, I need a 15-pound kettlebell. I was like, here you go. Like, it feels weird. Like, it was like the vinyl, like the plastic.
Right.
It was like, what the fuck is
Look,
this?
man,
Is this even 15?
Look, honestly, those bells are cool, man.
Yeah.
But
they have their place.
they have
It's like better than no bell.
Right.
But still, it's like, if you can do better, do better. But at least you're getting the start. So, but yeah, we all know what a kettlebell is for the most part. Hell, even back, 2012, going to Lifetime Fitness, I was seeing people doing Turkish get-ups. I didn't know what the fuck that was. I'm looking, like, the fuck are they doing, yo? Like, bitch, I'm gonna go bench press this fucking 300 pounds real quick.
Oh, love a Turkish get-up.
Like, well,
that's
he
how
came
I got
over
his
here.
name. That's how I got his name, Mikey Tupu, baby.
Like, Dana came over here and we were doing Turkish get-ups, and the
we did them right here on the floor, bro.
The movement for that is basically a combat stand-up for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
As I'm doing, I was like, oh my god, like, I know this movement. It's just
I was surprised that you, doing jiu-jitsu for as long as you have never done one.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I've seen it, and
Right.
I was like, dude, that's interesting. I want to do that, and it's like, I'm just gonna go out here and just fucking roll around with people, get arm barred real quick. I'll be all right.
Right.
And now my body's falling apart. I was like, okay, I need to start getting strong again.
Just get one kettlebell, man. That's all you need. Really, just one.
Oh, and I think that's the thing too with kettlebells. It's amazing how, like you said, just one can go a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas, like, other weights, it's like, okay, I need a whole weight set, and I need to, get a rack for squats, and I need to do this and do that. And then that's, not, dogging those weights because, they have their place as well.
Right.
But if you're like, look, I'm just trying to do something that's going to be effective for me, and I don't want to take up a lot of space.
Look, at the end of the day, if you were like me and your whole style of training just switched up, and now kettlebells is like 90% of what I use, that's cool. But like, there's power lifters and other people in other fitness fields that use kettlebells as a supplement. Like, just for instance, I mean, Donnie Thompson is the biggest one that I can think of, right? I mean, he created the fat bell, the Thompson fat bell, from his use and experience of the kettlebell, right? He, pretty sure the YouTube video that he has out when he was talking about, this, he got his squat over 1,000 because of the use of kettlebells.
Nice.
As a supplement training. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you could take a 16 kilogram bell, so 35 pounds. Doesn't sound heavy, right? It's like, okay, well, swing it for 3 minutes straight with one arm, and then tell me how you feel.
Right.
And then just don't even put it down, just switch the other arm and do the same thing. Or, again, like clean and press that one bell, right? It's not that hard. Okay, cool. Like, again, do that for 5 minutes straight. Do that for 10 minutes straight. Do that for 15 minutes straight.
Right.
And then tell me how you feel.
And then ramp up the speed.
Right.
Well,
You know?
that's kind of the thing with, most workouts. It's like,
Right.
the idea was like, lift as heavy as you can. It's like, 35 pounds, that's not much at all. It's like, well, I mean, there's a method to that madness,
Right.
though, versus,
Or take that same 16 kilo bell, right, and do a deep goblet squat and hold it for 10 seconds. And then do 15 or 20 reps of those, Really open up the hips. I mean, that'll tear you up, but guarantee it. Go do it.
That's actually what we're talking about in the seminar today.
Yeah.
Is goblet squats.
Yeah,
So,
man.
There are things to do and there are ways to get better, and it's not a one size fits all.
Right.
Again, there are probably people listening right now that are like, well, no, I just rather go to the gym and like bench press and squat and deadlift, and that's cool in the game too. Not knocking it.
Right.
But I always see this with lots of things, especially on social media. one thing knocking the other.
Right.
Like, and it's like, look, just if this works for this group, cool. It doesn't hurt to hear what this other group has to say, like right now.
But the one thing that will unlock all kinds of potential, especially in the mobility and stability department, is kettlebells. So, I mean, if you just add kettlebells into your training just for mobility purposes or stability purposes, bottoms up kettlebell, anything is going to really challenge someone's stability, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, I mean, even with, doing like a training cycle for a competition, focusing on sport, there's still GPP, everything's not just kettlebells, like there's some barbell stuff. There's not like a whole lot of dumbbell stuff, but you have other accessory exercises, accessory lifts that aren't just kettlebell. I mean, even kettlebell lifters,
but they supplement your training.
Yeah. There's a place for bench press and deadlift and things like that. So, I mean, vice versa, if you are, focused on, traditional lifts like that, I mean, hey, training some, kettlebell, cleans and jerks and snatches and stuff. I think snatches would go a long way for people who do kind of like Olympic style weightlifting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, makes sense. I do like that.
I've seen the transition. I've seen people coming from barbell Olympic lifting and pick this up so fast. One of the guys that I'm working with now, he's hitting sporadic classes with me. But his name is Nick, powerlifting background. So very familiar with body awareness, familiar with, being in a deep squat or being in an overhead position, with the barbell. But with that knowledge, he picks up kettlebell technique fairly quickly,
Makes sense. I do like also how with kettlebell, it seems like it's not just isolating one like muscle group.
Right.
You're getting your body involved. You're getting
all interactive, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's why I love long cycle. I mean, it really makes you realize like what are the major muscles and what are like the accessory muscles. I mean, it's like biceps. Like I don't like curl or anything,
but seeing him after a third 3-minute set,
dude, the
doing
pump,
long cycle,
the pump,
my God,
the pump.
I'm like, dude.
I stopped it for like a week and then like I got sick and I came back. I'm like, I'm going back to long cycle training. I'm like, I just missed the pump.
You did, man.
Well, yeah, this definitely, opens up a lot of eyes, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even for myself, like I said, prior to seeing you doing
I'd
the
love
work.
to get you down to the gym, man.
Yeah, man.
Or just let's hook up out here in the parking lot, man. Bells are easily transferable.
Got
transportable, I should say.
new work schedule, so
so
yeah,
weekends off now.
Weekends off. Nice. I'm home by 4:30.
Let's go.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay,
well, damn, you can make a 5 o'clock class,
Yeah.
homie.
But again, I mean, like you said, body's breaking down. I mean, I'm, like Dana can tell you, like I have lower back issues, dealing with a lot of pain. And then started training with him, again, the mobility, but the kettlebell training, and just, working that hinge, and then just strengthen the core. I mean, there's just so much, like it every time you have to do that hinge and put the bells between your legs and get them back up to your chest, doing that clean. I mean, you are just working the core, working the legs. I'm pretty much pain free these days, and I mean, I owe it all to this style of training.
Yeah, it's
pretty awesome.
The big thing, I've even in the seminar today talking about it. They're like, all right, who's got any questions? And I was like, look, man, my shoulder, my neck, my hip. Like, what's up? Walk me through this. And he did.
You've been put in too many fucking arm bars, man.
No, I've been
cranks.
I was fighting out of too many
neck
arm
cranks.
bars.
I said neck cranks.
Yeah, definitely neck cranks.
Oh shit, we're about to go live, baby.
Have been fucking me up. But let's go ahead and wrap up because the main card's about to start.
We're gonna have to do this again, man.
Absolutely.
We just scratched the surface, I think.
Oh, sure.
We could talk about this shit for hours.
This was a mini jump off.
It was, man.
Get introduced to it. So cool in the gang. Before we get out of here, though, mention shout outs, things you Instagram. Where can we find you?
You can find us on Instagram, Raise Bells, RAZEBELLS. Go to raisebells.com. We operate out of Gold's Gym, Marley Station Mall out here in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Classes all week long, group functional training, highlighting kettlebells. Let's go.
Yep.
All right.
Free guest pass on the website. Come on, check it out. Hey, thank you guys, man. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, Mikey Two Poo.
For
I
real.
love you, dude.
Yeah, man, definitely.
I love you. I love you, Dante.
Hey man, love you.
This
too,
is great.
man. Dude, I missed
was
the
awesome.
fuck out of both y'all in this
I know.
neighborhood.
I know.
I drive by and I'm just looking at the houses like,
Dude, I drove by. I'm like, it's weird.
Pulled in the parking lot and I'm like, oh shit, the old hood, son.
Yep.
and then what I'll do is I'll get some more info for this afterwards. Put links in
Yeah, for sure.
in the thing. But as always, everybody listening, thank you. If you have any questions, concerns, criticisms, always feel free to reach out to me. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mats Podcast on Instagram or any of the other 14 Instagram accounts that I have. Like if you follow anything on Instagram, you're probably fucking following me. I want to give a big shout out to my crew over there at Nerd Rage Radio, Bobby, Chris, Joe, Maryland Phil. Like I just did an episode with them on Thursday. I'm going to be back up there next Friday or this coming Friday. So I'm trying to get back in the rotation over there. Without them, I wouldn't be doing podcasts. So thank you guys. I love you all over there. Big shout out to my other podcast. So you like horror? If you like scary movies and stuff of that nature, go check it out. The next episode, as we're going through horror through the decades, is going to be dropping this Friday. We'll talk about horror in the 2020s, the final decade or the current decade. So go check that out and go check out the other decades. I mean, we basically went through 100 years of horror. So go check it out. And then last but not least, Dana, Mike, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, man. Mikey Two Poo.
All right. Otherwise, you
Let's go,
folks up
Goose.
there, love you all. You guys keep listening. We're going to keep making these shows.
Shout out Nikolai Amber. Love you.
Peace.
Pro Kettlebell.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.